Imagine waking up to the news that a former U.S. president has just proposed taking control of Gaza, reshaping its future, and relocating its entire population. That's exactly what Donald Trump has doubled down on. An astonishing and controversial plan that has already sent shockwaves across the world. The proposal, which involves the United States effectively owning Gaza and transforming it into a new development project, has ignited fierce reactions from Hamas, Palestinian leaders, and international diplomats. But Trump is not backing down. Let's break down what he said, why this matters, and what comes next. Aboard Air Force One, Trump made his vision crystal clear. It's a big mistake to allow the Palestinians or the people living in Gaza to go back yet another time, he declared. We don't want Hamas going back, and think of it as a big real estate site. The United States is going to own it, and we're going to slowly, very slowly, rush develop it. The plan? Rebuild Gaza from the ground up, demolishing what remains and reconstructing it with the help of wealthy Middle Eastern nations. Trump envisions a completely new landscape, where Palestinians would supposedly live in harmony and peace for the first time in hundreds of years. But there's one major problem. Palestinians have outright rejected the idea, calling it an attempt at ethnic cleansing. Hamas has vowed to resist any efforts to displace the people of Gaza, while international leaders, including those in Saudi Arabia, have condemned the proposal, reaffirming their commitment to a two-state solution. Meanwhile, as Trump speaks of rebuilding, thousands of Palestinians have begun returning to their devastated homes in northern Gaza. The Israeli military recently withdrew from a key militarized zone, lifting a blockade that had split the region in half. Families desperate to reclaim what's left are now navigating roads lined with rubble, their vehicles packed with whatever belongings they still own. But what awaits them? In many cases, nothing but destruction. Israel's withdrawal is part of a fragile ceasefire agreement with Hamas, but Trump's comments have cast uncertainty over the already delicate negotiations. In Doha, Israeli officials are engaging in mediation talks, but their ability to discuss long-term peace remains uncertain. The Israeli government, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has shown openness to Trump's idea, with Netanyahu himself calling it revolutionary and creative. But within Israel, reactions are mixed, with some leaders skeptical about the feasibility of the plan. Adding another layer of complexity, Trump's proposal comes amid growing fears of renewed conflict. Recent footage of returned Israeli hostages, emaciated, traumatized, has only deepened concerns about the remaining captives still held by Hamas. Their families, desperate for resolution, worry that Trump's rhetoric could derail ceasefire negotiations and jeopardize the release of their loved ones. At the same time, Palestinians fear that any breakdown in talks could reignite military action, leading to more devastation and displacement. While the situation in Gaza remains volatile, another crisis is unfolding between the world's two largest economies. China has just retaliated against U.S. tariffs, imposing new levies on $4 billion worth of American goods. This latest move has sparked fears of a new trade war, with Beijing targeting key sectors, including coal, liquefied natural gas, crude oil, and large vehicles. China's response is calculated. Their foreign ministry has reiterated its opposition to U.S. tariffs while keeping the door open for negotiations. Analysts believe Beijing is strategically limiting the impact on American firms to avoid escalating tensions further. However, the question remains, will Trump push forward with more tariffs, or will both sides step back before this economic standoff spirals out of control? Unlike during his first presidency, Trump would now be dealing with a more diversified Chinese economy, one less dependent on exports to the U.S. than before. Beijing has strengthened its trade ties with over 120 countries, including major partners in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. But even with this broader economic reach, China is not without its struggles. Its growth rate has slowed significantly, and a prolonged trade war with the U.S. could add further pressure to its already challenged economy. So, where does this leave us? On one side, Trump is making radical geopolitical proposals that could reshape the Middle East and disrupt decades of diplomatic efforts. On the other, he's reigniting economic tensions with China that could impact global markets. The world is watching closely, and the stakes have never been higher. Will Trump's vision for Gaza gain traction, or will it be universally rejected? Will the U.S. and China find common ground, or are we on the brink of another economic showdown? As tensions rise, the implications for global security cannot be ignored. The Middle East has long been a flashpoint for geopolitical struggles, and any dramatic shift in policy, especially one as drastic as Trump's proposal, could have ripple effects beyond Gaza. Experts warn that forcibly relocating Palestinians could fuel further instability, possibly triggering resistance movements and new waves of conflict in the region. Moreover, Trump's rhetoric could embolden Israeli hardliners, leading to even more aggressive policies toward Palestinian territories. For those advocating for a peaceful resolution, this latest development represents a significant setback. Beyond the immediate geopolitical concerns, economic analysts are watching the situation closely. If Trump's aggressive foreign policy extends beyond Gaza to other regions, the global economy could face disruptions. Sanctions, trade restrictions, and diplomatic fallouts could affect oil prices, international markets, and economic stability in various countries. The interconnected nature of today's world means that any move by a major power, like the United States, has far-reaching consequences. With the 2024 election looming, Trump's statements also raise questions about his broader foreign policy strategy should he return to office. Is this a glimpse of what's to come? Would a second Trump presidency be marked by more aggressive interventions and economic conflicts? Political analysts suggest that his comments could be a calculated move to energize his base, particularly among voters who favor a strong, interventionist America on the world stage. Ultimately, the world is left waiting for the next move. The stakes are high and the outcomes uncertain. What do you think? Will Trump's plan for Gaza ever come to fruition? Will China and the U.S. de-escalate their trade war? Or are we heading toward a deeper economic conflict? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Focal Point for more in-depth coverage of the stories shaping our world.